Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rotoworld Football Show, Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. I'm Patrick Daugherty, joined by Denny Carter. A lot to talk about, as always. The Eagles always give us something to talk about, Denny. None of it good of late. We'll assess the fallout from Philadelphia's West Coast road trip, where, as I predicted, their fans totally took over the stadium, but it did not matter.
No.
The fifth quarter provided a Los Angeles victory. We'll ask who is more at fault for the Eagles' recent offensive struggles. A.J. Brown swears to God it's Jalen Hurts, and yet when I watch the game, all A.J. Brown does is drop passes, including touchdowns. Didn't block on a play. It's getting a little, honestly, unacceptable.
It is crazy.
We'll talk about that. What had been unacceptable was Saquon Barkley's lack of big plays. We finally got some of those, Denny. And it's right as the Commanders are on the schedule twice. The Bills are on the schedule. Maybe that Eagles running game will rev up. We'll talk about the Chargers. We'll preview Thursday night's game, not a particularly high wattage one on Bezos Vision. The Falcons heading to Tampa Bay. We're hoping it's not raining this time. It was too late for me in Survivor if I had known it was going to rain.
Stop it.
I didn't get. If I know it was going to rain, though. Right. And listen, if I had remembered about the concept of Tristan Wirfs, also let us.
I'm curious because when I mentioned Wirfs in the preseason, he said it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Brought up Wirfs. We just shouted you down. We'll talk about the Bucs. Could be getting Mike Evans back. We talked about that a lot this week. We'll talk about it again this week. Just an offense. It's been one of the worst in the NFL. We'll also talk about Devin Achane. He's banged up. Shedeur Sanders named the starter for the rest of the season. Very calm-headed, reasonable opinions on that, like everybody. And then we're going to talk about Phillip Rivers. Not a joke. Phillip Rivers somehow back in our lives. Back on the Colts taxi squad. Very skeptical he'll actually get promoted to the active roster, Denny, because that would reset his Hall of Fame eligibility clock. I have no idea why being on the practice squad does not reset this clock. Seems like maybe a scam worked out between old Phil and Canton. But we'll talk about the Colts quarterback situation post Daniel Jones. We would be remiss, though, Denny. Yeah. We did not begin the show talking about the death of the Eagles Rally Bunny. Did you even know what I'm talking about?
I do know, and I don't know if it's widely known, but did you want to explain it?
So the Eagles, this is not a joke. They were trying to instill good vibes in the locker room. The Eagles offensive line ordered like a happiness bunny, like a giant inflatable bunny. It said happy Easter on it.
It was not a joke.
It was so big. It was supposed to ease the tension. Of course, the tension just ratcheted higher than ever.
Of course it did.
On Monday night, the Rally Bunny, this is probably going to severely date us. I've only actually seen this movie once too, Denny. But the Eagles Rally Bunny, unfortunately, has proven to be the Donnie Darko Bunny. And, Google it if you don't know what I'm talking about.
Only millennials will know.
It has not gone well for the Eagles. What do you have to say about the life and death of the Eagles Rally Bunny?
He had a good run. And he actually left when they asked if he could call offensive plays. And he said, absolutely not. I am not working with this group, this dysfunctional group who hates each other. I mean, the disdain between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts is palpable. I want to say, just for the record, Jalen Hurts did absolutely nothing wrong on Monday night, except for the 2 turnover play. That was wrong.
That was wrong.
He put it on A.J. Brown 3 times.
He did.
On what should have been huge gains and or touchdowns. It would have completely altered the game. It would have essentially guaranteed a victory for the Eagles. That was all A.J. Brown's fault. Since this team, so A.J. Brown came to ownership and whined about his role, along with Big Dom. I
think honestly felt threatened by the Rally Bunny, by the way. I think he thought he was going to maybe be replaced as the team's mascot.
There's video of him wrestling with it, actually. But I don't know if you've seen it. But okay, so he goes to ownership. He goes to Laurie, goes to Big Dom. He says, I'm not getting the ball. Since then, the team has said, okay, the offense circulates around A.J. Brown now, and they've been a disaster. I actually think A.J. Brown is a really good player. I think, like George Pickens, when he wants to be good, he's really good. But he doesn't want to be good right now. And Jalen Hurts had several, like I said, really great throws. Didn't happen. Not even the bunny could fix that.
No, all of Jalen Hurts' best throws were not caught Monday nights. That is the problem. He didn't have a great game. I didn't think it was truly that notably disastrous of a game, though.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, good game, but it's hard to have a good game when your very best throws are not caught. All of his very best throws were unconverted deep balls to AJ Brown. One was that one over the middle, a crosser that was high, as Joe and Troy kept pointing out, but Troy was like unequivocally, it has to be caught if you're in the NFL. Completely agree.
It wasn't that high.
Wasn't that high, yeah. No, it was not. It was not Trevor Lawrence high. Like it could be caught high. That's how high it was.
Yeah, I do have some excuse me, some stats here I could share.
By the way, I feel like we didn't do the bunny riff enough.
Yeah,
Here's
what I'd say about the bunny. It definitely made things worse.
That's not even a joke. There's literally no way it didn't make things worse.
I mean, if you walk into that locker room, okay, everybody hates each other. Sirianni is melting down every week now. Big Dom is becoming bigger every week. And you walk into that locker room and you see the bunny, and I mean, if I were a player, I'd be like, "Oh, come on, man!"
I know. It is like two parents like getting divorced, and like we thought we'd spruce up the house, bring a little love, bring a little laughter, and you're getting divorced. We don't care about that. I
don't even like rabbits, Mom.
Yeah, I know. I thought you knew that the last one died. Now there's a Donnie Darko rabbit in our house. What is that? But what am I supposed to do with that?
So yeah, I just think that there were better ways. Here's one way that they could have resolved the tension: talk to each other. Is one way.
Do Hurts and AJ Brown ever talk?
They don't ever communicate about anything. You can tell.
Maybe one criticism of Jalen Hurts. I don't think I've ever seen Jalen Hurts talk to anyone on the bench.
He's
goes without saying AJ Brown is
in that way.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, not a big talker. This was a huge criticism, by the way, getting way too far afield here, of Paul Goldschmidt, St. Louis. Would it kill him to ever show a little emotion?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he never did.
Never did.
No, never did. Never did. All right. Anyway, so AJ Brown, you had some data. Beyond the rally bunny.
All right. So since Big Dom intervened, AJ Brown has been targeted on 33% of his routes. Has half the team's air yards. That's a huge difference from before the discussion with Jeffrey Lurie. Only A.D. Mitchell has more air yards than AJ Brown over the past 3 weeks.
Wow.
Over that time, Hurts' quarterback rating is 33rd out of 40 qualifying quarterbacks, right around Mason Rudolph and Marcus Mariota. He's 24th in adjusted yards per attempt over.
So they're asking him to be something he's not. Which
and actually, I wanted to mention one more thing here about how the Eagles operated against the Chargers on Monday Night Football. Dan Pizzuto is an NFL writer on Blue Sky, really good sharp guy. So Jalen Hurts was in empty sets on 35.6% of his plays against the Chargers. It's the highest rate for a quarterback in a game this whole season.
Wow.
His success rate was 37%. He averaged less than 5 yards per attempt. So that's not happening. That's not working. The empty set thing is not working. Everything they're trying is just not working. I think, last year they had an offense predicated on the tush push and on 75-yard touchdowns from Saquon Barkley. And so, if you can rely on that, that's good. But you can't rely on that every year.
They had an offense predicated on an elite offensive line, which they just don't have this year because of injuries, mostly. Lane Johnson, one of the biggest losses in the NFL. And they just seem to not have creative enough minds to know how to fix that. And they just seem like they're in denial about the real issue. And that, they won't really change anything. They needed something totally different made up on the fly. Kind of like what they did the first year. The first year Nick Sirianni was head coach. They adjusted from a pass-heavy offense to the most run-heavy offense in the entire league mid-season. I'm not saying I know what the solution would be for this Eagles offense. I just know that Nick Sirianni doesn't have it. This offensive, what's the guy's name even? He doesn't have it. The bunny definitely does not have it.
Bunny didn't have it?
Bunny does not have it. And I feel like they're at cross purposes. Like they're kind of like playing the blame game. And they're not even ignoring the actual problems that the offensive line is not an elite unit right now. And
No, I actually think that's it. That's at the crux of everything. Is that it's like we're just going to pretend that Lane Johnson's okay, that everybody else is healthy and ready to go, and like we were last year. We're not going to make adjustments. I mean, making adjustments is really what separates like the good coaches from the great coaches.
100%.
And, we don't really see that. I mean, one guy who actually finally changed was Mike McDaniel. Remember, he would not adjust for the longest time. Well, he finally adjusted to fit their strengths, and the Dolphins are doing quite well.
The Dolphins can't lose. Kevin Petula. I doubt that's how he pronounces it, but that's how it's spelled. It's the Eagles offensive coordinator. They show him. But I knew, by the way, you want to know when I knew the Eagles were going to lose this game last night? Well, the first one was when I learned of the rally bunny. That was the first sign I knew they were going to lose. The first time last night, I knew the Eagles were going to lose. This is not even a joke. Within 10 seconds, I think it was first quarter, it was like 14:52 on the clock, and they showed Kevin Petula. They showed the offensive coordinator. Oh, man, like they don't ever show the offensive coordinator the first shot of the game when it's going well. And because, they were doing like a piece on how they've been discombobulated, how things haven't been working. Like, the game's over. Like they're ISOing the offensive coordinator at the 14:52 mark of the first quarter. Like these problems are not being fixed any.
You know what's coming next? Petula will be moved to the booth.
He will, of course. It goes without saying.
Which is obviously the first step to getting fired.
Sirianni, by the way, man, like this guy's energy is it gets made over and over and over again. He really is like a Tim Robinson character. Tim Robinson pretty much exclusively plays characters whose lives are falling apart. And Sirianni, a lot of times their jobs are falling apart. And Sirianni is striking big energy there, Denny.
I'm only half kidding when I had faced the conundrum last night watching Monday Night Football. How am I going to explain to my son what Nick Sirianni just said? Like,
what did he say?
I mean, because they ISO'd him in slow motion, screaming at a ref, unspeakable things.
I missed that.
And I literally was like, how? Like my son's like, what did he say? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I can explain it to you, honestly.
I thought you were gonna have to explain the concept of lying to your son, because at halftime, Laura Rutledge asked him what you think of the first half, and he said, I saw a lot of good things. Like, wow, you were not watching the same first half that I was there, Nick Sirianni.
No, hey, by the way, no one mails in the halftime interview harder than Jim Harbaugh.
No, I know. Come on.
I mean, they're all useless, but I mean, Jim Harbaugh will be like, yeah, we're playing football.
I know.
And it'll be like, well, what are you going to do in the second half? What we're going to do is we're going to play more football.
Jim Harbaugh, in his defense, is not a normal person. He's built entirely.
He said the win last night, he put it up in the ranks of getting married and having his children.
Do you see how many children he said he had?
7?
By the way? Yeah.
It's not a little.
I don't know anyone like that. Never heard of such a thing. I was shocked by the number of children Jim Harbaugh has. I was shocked to see Saquon Barkley actually bust a long run. We got several explosive Saquon runs, none more so than I believe a 52-yard touchdown, Denny. I'm sorry if I'm misquoting the exact distance, but offensive line problems, those remain. Schedule problems, they do not remain. Again, it's the Commanders, it's the Bills, who have one of the very worst run defenses in football.
Yeah,
it's the Commanders again. I think it's the Raiders first. Excuse me, I buried the lead. It's the Raiders, Commanders, Bills, Commanders.
That's right.
That's something we can work with. But again, we just highlighted all the problems, how this offense is broken. But was last night truly our first sign of Saquon Barkley hope in a long time? Hope that can be built upon.
I think so. And then the schedule, I was looking at the rushing defense data for those teams. So what you got, Bills, Commanders, and Raiders. They all give up a lot of yards before contact. And that's like the Saquon special. That's kind of what he needs. Now, the Chargers don't give up a lot of yards before contact, and he got there anyway. But it really does shape up for Barkley to come out of nowhere and kind of save fantasy managers if the offensive line for the Eagles can hold up a little bit going forward. I will say one interesting thing about Barkley's usage recently, that he's running a lot of routes. He ranks second among all running backs in pass routes over the past 3 weeks, only 11 targets over that stretch. But I think that, that role can lead to something where he doesn't have to get there on the ground. Like he can do a little PPR scammy stuff. And with Saquon, even though he struggled this year, he still is explosive in the open field. So you get him in space on a reception, you get there on one play. I mean, you can, at least with a player like him.
He's always had good hands too. I haven't quite understood why they're throwing to him so little. He, for some reason, is never as efficient as he should be as a pass catcher. But he's not CMC, I guess is what I'm saying. But it's not working downfield. They're constantly in second and long, third and long. It would make sense, I feel like, to shorten the field with more running back receptions.
Yeah.
A lot of times running back receptions are kind of fool's gold. It seems like something that the Eagles would very much benefit to adding to the mix right now.
Yeah, I guess what I mean to say is there are several outs for Barkley going forward, and that's a good thing because you have to start him. You're in the playoffs. I think he could be surprisingly good.
I had an image I could not shake from my head where I missed the Nick Sirianni thing you were talking about, but I was then picturing a Tim Robinson thing where he's like almost foaming at the mouth, yelling, "You bleeping scumbag" at someone in one of his skits. And I can picture Nick Sirianni doing that exact thing.
You know what I can't stop picturing is the bunny, the positivity bunny, peering out from outside of the locker room going forward, asking if it can come back in.
I know, yeah, boy, that bunny. I talk about the bunny did not ask for this. The bunny did not want to be put in the middle of all this.
No, Bunny didn't do anything wrong.
You can't bring someone like that into your home at a moment like this. Like, no one needs to see this. This stays in the family. Do you understand?
That bunny could do nothing about AJ Brown's attitude.
It could not. Yeah. Boy, it's just truly. I honestly am shocked at AJ Brown's. Like, all right, we get it. Like, you should. And yeah, to be honest, we agreed with you for a while. Like, you should be getting the ball more. It actually does not make sense. You are not getting the ball more. But this is what is known as reality. You can try to fix it in the offseason. You're thankfully getting paid as you should be, but it's one of the more shameful performances I've seen from a player in recent memory. Also,
and that comes on the heels of George Pickens giving up on Thursday night.
Pickens, unlike AJ Brown, Pickens just gives up from time to time.
Yeah,
like Pickens is in shutdown mode. Pickens will go into shutdown mode for like a play, which is very bad.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong.
But what was the deal? Like, George, like, come on, man.
I mean, are you not happy? Like,
I know. I just don't understand what the issue is supposed to be.
In football,
I know.
You're getting fed unlike anybody else in the league. Like, and yet you are what? Are you throwing a temper tantrum again on the field? Like,
yeah, that was strange.
Yeah.
It wasn't that strange, Denny, that Omarion Hampton came back and was splitting touches with Kamani Vidal. Maybe honestly, almost a good outcome. But we got 14 or 15 touches from Omarion Hampton. We got a touchdown. This is even after Kamani Vidal had a 60-yard catch, which took up all the yardage in one drive that eliminated potential play volume for Omarion Hampton. I guess that's the glass half full interpretation of Omarion Hampton's return. Now it's a short week. You don't necessarily love a short week for a running back who's eased back in. But do we think that's maybe the baseline for Omarion Hampton's usage? Or hopefully that's not the ceiling for Omarion Hampton's usage. What do we think we're going to see the final 3 weeks of the fantasy season with Omarion Hampton?
I would expect Hampton to be ramped up and to eventually take that 1A spot, and then maybe Vidal is the 1B. But before I get into that usage and what that might look like, I just want to mention that without Joe Alt, with other offensive line injuries that the Chargers have, they were 6% below their expected pass rate against the Chargers. That was the second run heaviest game of the season. Would you like to guess when the first run heaviest game of the season was for the Chargers?
Wow. The first time Joe Alt got hurt?
It was the previous week. It was week 13.
Wow.
So Greg Roman, I think, has gotten the memo that they simply are not going to be able to operate the way they did early in the season with a lot of early down dropbacks. And so anyway, this sort of approach to offense for the Chargers leads to more rushing volume. So you get, 27 carries on Monday night to split between Hampton and Vidal. Vidal saw 14. Hampton saw 13. I wouldn't be surprised if going forward, these two split in some way 30 carries a game, somewhere in there. As for the route running, Kamani Vidal ran 24 routes on 41 Herbert dropbacks. Hampton only ran 8 routes, which is concerning. He did have a receiving score, so he got there. But Hampton's going to have to be way more involved in the pass game in order to not be game script sensitive.
Yeah, I guess this is maybe galaxy brain, maybe overthinking, over-explaining, but they truly, as we're about to get into with their passing game, they have no choice but to be run heavier. So there's going to be way more running game volume. But I almost wonder if that hurts Omarion Hampton because they have so many touches they essentially have no choice but to involve a second running back. Where if it was like a little less overall backfield volume, you could be like, well, whatever, one guy can mostly handle this. Or it's almost like going run heavier is forcing greater backup involvement from Kamani Vidal. This might be way too out.
No, I get that, but in the end, like no matter how you cut it, I think that you can lock in Hampton for 15 touches a week.
I agree with that.
Barring like disastrous game script, and that's what I'm talking about. Like if the Chargers actually do fall behind by several scores, say in the first half or something, then it looks like for right now, it looks like Vidal would be on the field much more than Hampton.
That's very concerning. Very good takeaway, I would say, from the game. And then, the other takeaway is just that. So listen, the Eagles are a horrific matchup for opposing passing attacks, especially of late. Like they've been putting guys almost in like a Texans level of hell. That's a bit anecdotal, but quarterbacks, Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, even in a victory, had very, very bad games against the Eagles. Justin Herbert did too. Just relentlessly pressured, completely relentlessly pressured. Kind of an outlier bad matchup, but I just feel like there's going to be more of that ahead without Joe Alt. And we just see basically the collapse of a blocking scheme. We got almost nothing out of Justin Herbert. His ball did look good with the injured hand, I'll say. It didn't look that bad. Do we think there's better days ahead against the Chiefs for week 15? Or is this just, becoming a more traditional Greg Roman offense at this point, Denny?
Yeah, I think we're going to see the Chargers lean either, moderately hard or very hard on the run going forward. Against the Eagles, Justin Herbert took 7 sacks. His adjusted yards per attempt was 2.5, season low. Here's one. His expected completion rate last night was 68%, which is quite high. That's expected. His actual completion rate was 51%.
Oh,
not good there for old Justin. Now, here's another thing, though, about the run heaviness of this offense. He had 10 rushes for 66 yards, 20% scramble rates, which is crazy high. I mean, that's not going to hold, but it could have been worse. So, I think on a video on demand last week, we said you can't play Justin Herbert. We were right. It could have been much worse if he didn't have 10 rushes. I think that
it could have been a whole lot worse for us if he had a rushing touchdown, by the way.
It would have been real bad. Yeah.
Everyone you're stupid.
I have to take that VOD down if that happened, but it stays up. Double-digit rushes is like a serious thing for any quarterback. I'm not sure if we want that. I mean, Justin Herbert, really bad at avoiding hits, really bad at staying healthy when rushing. So I don't know if we want that, but I thought it was noteworthy.
Very noteworthy. And I don't know. Too, how many times did he brace himself on his broken hand? That was weird and bad.
How many times did the Eagles try to break his broken hand?
I know. It was the peanut punch stuff, by the way. There was a lot of just outright punching in the game last night. So it was a very high turnover game. I felt like we saw several assaults.
Yeah. Can you just?
They can't. Apparently, actually, they can call personal foul if they punch and don't hit the ball, but they never, ever, ever do that. TJ Watt just straight up mugs people on the field.
He punched Derrick Henry not even close to the ball.
Yeah, TJ Watt seriously just assaults people. It's actually someone they need to probably start penalizing it. It's bad. He's not trying to peanut. I think he just punched him in the kidney. And he was clearly looking for the kidney. I haven't seen someone do that since 7th grade.
Right, not the ball.
But the kidney. Then they say kidney punch when they run off. So everything we just talked about are guys like Gadsden, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnson. Are they even on the radar for the fantasy playoffs, Denny?
Chargers have a 45% early down pass rate over the past 2 games. That's the 8th lowest in the league over those 2 weeks. That is in stark contrast to the first 8 weeks of the season when they were 2nd in the league behind only Kansas City with a 65% early down pass rate. So that dropped by 20%. That's significant. It means that, with the way that, so it could work if we had one dominant receiver in this LA offense, right? But we don't. The targets are pretty evenly distributed. So I think Gadsden becomes a very thin play, unfortunately, because it looked like the pass volume of the Chargers were going to keep him alive as a weekly starter. I guess McConkey is in there as a flex. You're not playing Keenan Allen. You cannot play Quentin Johnston.
You can play Ladd, even though it's going to be super annoying and volatile. you still have to quote unquote play Ladd. I feel like I prefer Keenan to Quentin Johnson at this point, even though it didn't manifest Monday night. I just feel like short area targets to Keenan Allen seem more realistic than deep balls to Quentin Johnston right now. That's what I was thinking. It's not how it manifested Monday.
Yeah, the deep balls are not going to happen. I mean, Joe Alt meant everything to this
most important player in the game.
Well, but I mean, we see this happen. In Philadelphia, the same thing happened.
Tampa Bay, the Bucs look like an expansion team. It's quite unfortunate,
right? They go from Super Bowl contenders to like barely able to beat the bottom teams in the league.
So it rains a little bit. You can't beat the Saints. What? You serious? But you play in Tampa. You're not used to this. They're from a dome.
It rains every day.
Yeah, it rains literally every day. Saints play in a dome. You tell me you can't win that game? I cannot believe people cannot stop talking about this Bucs Saints game.
No, I was in the coffee shop the other day. People are whispering about it. Can you believe the Saints won?
They're whispering this time to move on. We'll be right back after this. This Sunday night, Dak Prescott and the Cowboys welcome Justin Jefferson and the Vikings to Texas in an NFC showdown. Football Night in America will lead you up to kickoff at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tell you what, that strikes me. We'll talk about this a lot more on Thursday when Kyle Dvorak joins us. That is a total nightmare spot for Justin Jefferson. I think some people might get excited, he's got the Cowboys. It's a potential shootout. I think a shootout is the last thing this young man wants. It means sacks. It means turnovers.
The Cowboys defense is in a good spot, I'd say.
Cowboys defense is in a good spot. We'll talk about that on Thursday when Kyle rejoins us. Some things cannot wait until Thursday, Denny.
Yeah. That
is things like this was the classic. I start getting so Monday evening, trying to decompress a little bit. I am going to watch the game. I'm getting ready for Monday Night Football, but it's some family time. You don't get as much family time as you want during the football season. Trying to have some family time, and I start getting as the classic three or four different people text me WTF, LOL, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, what is this? And I open my phone and I read it. And then I have to triple check. This is not parody. This is not a joke. The man who first reported the news, Ian Rappaport, went to great pains to say this is not a joke.
Yeah.
The Indianapolis Colts are working out Phillip Rivers. They worked him out on Tuesday. They then signed him to their team, only to the practice squad, not the 53-man roster yet. But listen, we knew they needed to add a quarterback with Daniel Jones out for the year with a torn Achilles tendon. Riley Leonard, who should not be starting, has a knee injury now. They need a plan B. Can't say Phillip Rivers would have been in my top 10 plan B options. Phil, he's now on the roster. Yeah. I really am skeptical he'll get elevated to 53-man roster because the resets his Hall of Fame eligibility. You might think that doesn't matter. I'm sure it matters to Phil. I guess it couldn't matter that much if he's signing, though. He's playing a dangerous game. He's about to go into Canton, Denny. Mm-hmm. So a lot of moving parts here. That's just me setting it up. What in the world is going on with this Colts quarterback situation? What does it mean for fantasy football?
Let me emphasize to our younger listeners, Phillip Rivers entered the NFL in 2004. Phillip Rivers is older than me. And Phillip Rivers last played in the NFL in 2020 for the Colts.
Wow.
It's been a while. So I who knows? Sometimes these guys stay in shape. Sometimes they don't. Joe Flacco said that he stayed in shape by going to a local field and throwing it with his dad and his brother. Yeah. And first of all, I would have loved to see that. And secondly, wow, that's how you stay in shape. I would be surprised if Rivers were activated, especially with Leonard, potentially practicing this week. I would guess that he'll start. But he'll
start, but he's going to be at risk of re-injury. They're going to need someone to actually come in and play quarterback, didn't he?
Yeah. So Anthony Richardson, his eye is still not right, according to beat writers, from that freak injury. So he's not in the discussion. So I guess it would have to be Rivers. But I can't imagine what this offense would look like besides a bunch of checkdowns to Jonathan Taylor, to Tyler Warren, and to Michael Pittman. That's the best case scenario.
You know what that sounds like, Denny? You ever heard the sound ka-ching?
Yeah, sure. I think it's good.
Ka-ching?
Listen, Pittman excels with bad quarterbacks.
He does.
Because he he catches the sort of passes that not very capable quarterbacks throw. So like Alec Pierce would suffer here, I think. But I don't know what else to say. I'm dying here for something to say about Phillip Rivers. Besides, he's 44. I can't.
He shot when he was good. He shot putted the ball.
I know.
He shot puts the ball.
It still is like one of the weirdest things I've seen in sports. The fact that this guy was able to reach the levels that he did with that throwing motion.
If you want to know about Phillip Rivers' mindset, though, a lot of our listeners, again, not to condescend or whatever, a lot of them probably do remember this, but a lot of them probably do not know. Phillip Rivers played multiple games with the torn ACL.
Yeah.
Like, the kind of thing that doesn't really happen anymore. I'm sure some people have actually done that even recently. But like, if you want to get inside the mind of Phillip Rivers, so I'm sure he thinks he can play Sunday. He's like, young man, I played on the torn ACL.
He knows the system. Shane Steichen and the Colts coaches are talking as if this is perfectly normal. It is actually very strange to hear them talk about it. They're like Lou Anarumo was like, he's the Colts defensive coordinator. He was like, he's a Hall of Famer, isn't he? What's the big deal?
You know what's too is insane is that so the NFL is plagued by groupthink. The late Colts owner Jim Irsay was not prone to groupthink. He did things like outside the box relatively frequently. A lot of them were catastrophically bad ideas, and people thought when he passed away that they were going to operate like a more normal franchise. And this is about as outside the box as it gets. I mean, to be honest, This is probably a higher upside than just signing. I can't even think who's like a veteran who's even available.
Josh Johnson.
This is higher upside than signing Josh Johnson. No. I hate to take the Colts side here. This is higher upside. Than
Absolutely, it's not. No,
this is higher upside than signing Josh Johnson. It is. It really is.
I don't know.
Lou Anarumo spoke no non-facts. Told no lie. It's like Lou Anarumo. He's a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
I know, right? Why wouldn't you want a Hall of Famer?
Why wouldn't you?
Okay, then sign Dan Marino.
Honestly, I'm sure Dan can still spin it.
Man, him on that Doritos commercial made me feel real old.
I know that was a bit sad, but the Colts had one more curveball in them, Denny, and we don't know. By the way, we've already talked about this several times. What do we even tell fantasy managers if it's Riley Leonard? Because it's not like that's normal either. Like that's what's also like Phillip Rivers is really burying the lead of Riley. I know you're like a Riley Leonard starting an NFL game in 2025. I hate to tell you, is high key not normal. Like should not be allowed to happen.
What? I don't understand.
The biggest game of the young man's life. It's the JJ McCarthy corollary. Yeah. The biggest game of the young man's life against the Ohio State Buckeyes last year. What was Riley Leonard allowed to do, and what was he not allowed to do?
He was not allowed to throw.
Not allowed to throw. So the guy's biggest game in college, they're hiding him. He cannot be starting an NFL game the following year. Is my opinion.
I don't know. Like for real football, of course, it's not good. I've been fascinated by Riley Leonard's prototype for fantasy. Not as a passer, but as a rusher. He had a rushing touchdown last week in relief of Daniel Jones. Not a lot of rushes though. Only 3 rushes, I think.
And now he's got a bum knee.
I know. So that to me, that tanks the whole project. Like
it does. That is
like that was the whole thesis of the Riley Leonard thing was that he's going to have 15 to 20 rushing attempts, and it's a Tebow. It's Tebow 2.0. Like
it was more like what if Taysom Hill good?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. And then you can't play any Colts pass catchers if he's in. I actually think Phillip Rivers way better for the pass catchers.
Dude, I'm looking through Riley Leonard's. I agree. Riley Leonard's season high for attempts on a team that made the national championship game last year was 33. That was a season high for attempts.
Wow.
Season high, didn't he?
He was fun to play in DFS. I can tell you that.
Yeah, he was. Let's see. Well, what was the season? Oh, man, 906 rushing yards. I mean, 17 rushing touchdowns.
I know. Honestly, you could plug him in for 2 rushing touchdowns.
17. Good guy. I didn't know they did it like that in South Bend.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, this is We'll have more to say about the Colts on Thursday. Hopefully we have more information on the situation.
We will.
We've got more information on Shedeur Sanders, which frankly, we needed more information because you want to talk about an argument that had gotten circular before Shedeur took the field. And he's given a little something to everybody. Plenty of fodder for the haters, plenty of fodder for the boosters. I think where you start with Shedeur Sanders is he's cleared the lowest bar. There was an extraordinarily low bar was set for him because from his first appearance, not his first start, the bar was, okay, this guy still thinks he's in the Pac-12. He thinks he can spin backwards, or excuse me, the Big 12. Thinks he can spin backwards and not take 14-yard sacks. Like, it's not how it works in the NFL.
Right.
He's not done that. So what Shedeur, my 3 impressions of Shedeur are this. Unlike Dylan Gabriel, like you can't coach the passing out of him. Like I'm sure they're telling Shedeur, like, listen, don't throw. And he's throwing. Like Shedeur wants to throw. Unlike Dylan Gabriel, who like was listening to the coaching staff, Shedeur Sanders wants to throw the football. He will occasionally even throw it down the field. That's takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2 is that unlike Dylan Gabriel, there are actually some big plays. Some of them have been fluky, dump offs where the running back does some really cool running. Some of them have not been. That was not happening at all with Dylan Gabriel. And the third and probably most important takeaway is that I was expecting 10-yard sacks every game for Shedeur Sanders. That has not been happening. So there's been there's been more big plays than I was expecting and way fewer negative plays than I was expecting. These are all like very low bars to clear. We're not even getting into like he's actually good territory yet, but I feel like he's cleared those lowest bars. I've spoken a long time. Where do you want to take it from there?
He's been sacked on 10% of his pressures since he took over at the starting job for Cleveland. That's in the top half of the league. It's actually really, really hopeful, I think, for the Browns as a team. And it bleeds into fantasy because, those are drive killing sacks. When a quarterback, like you said, spins backwards and tries to make something out of nothing and happens to not be athletic or fast at all, like Shedeur Sanders, then they get sacked at 12, 15-yard loss. The drive's over. The drive is effectively over. Even if it happens on first down, you're not going to get past the sticks at that point. So 10% sack rate on his pressures. That's really good. He seems to have fixed that. He has four deep throws since he took over, which is not a lot, but his ADOT is 8.1, which is way, way over what Dylan Gabriel, maybe the worst quarterback I've ever seen.
And just he did not take the bull by the horns because I'd have to imagine they're giving Shedeur very similar instructions to what they gave Dylan Gabriel. Don't turn the ball over. Yeah. Don't take sack. And Dylan Gabriel was playing like a guy who was afraid. And I'm not even trying to say that he was, but like he was afraid to try to make something. And Shedeur, this like for better or worse, like even though he was conservative, he was very accurate. I'm not trying to act like he was a wild, crazy quarterback at Colorado. He actually wasn't. But that's been my biggest takeaway is that he enjoys passing the ball. You have to enjoy passing the ball.
Shedeur likes Shedeur time.
He does. And as a quarterback, you have to like Shedeur time.
You do. Dylan Gabriel wanted nothing to do with Dylan Gabriel time.
No, you got to want to be the star of the show. You have to have the biggest ego on the field.
And I don't think Deion Sanders' kid has any problem with that. No. I wanted to point out that Shedeur has been really good on intermediate throws, so throws between 10 and 20 yards. He's been 8% over his expected completion rate on those throws. And not kidding, since he took over the starting job for the Browns, Shedeur Sanders leads the league in yards per attempt on intermediate throws.
Wow. Harley, I think that 60-yard touchdown to Jerry.
It helps. That helps. Certainly, that helps. And the Browns have become a yak machine since he took over. They lead the league in yak. And
I will say yak, it doesn't have everything to do with the quarterback. It does not have nothing to do with the quarterback.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to put them in position where they have a head of steam.
How many times, look, a guy like Justin Fields, how many times does he miss the simple throw 3-5 yards away from him to a guy who has all the room to run, right? Breece Hall wide open in the flat. We saw this several times early in the season where the throw's way over his head or straight at his feet and the play's dead, right? So that could have gone for 25 yards. It goes for 0. The quarterback does have to do with that. Yeah.
I will say with Shedeur too, on these short throw, again, if you watch some of these long, it's a bit of a stretch to give him like a ton of credit. but you have to hang in the pocket. So some of these have been like screen type passes where you have to hang there for a while.
Yes.
Like you have to be willing to take a hit, and he's been willing to do that. So I had extraordinarily low expectations for Shedeur Sanders. He has easily cleared those. Now we're on to maybe grading him like a normal quarterback. Like, all right, you weren't a catastrophe. Now let's see what actually happens if we grade you like an actual NFL quarterback.
Why do the Browns take him off the field for the most important plays of the game?
Because, I mean, this is like when because they break up the monotony. Like they have cool plays they can never use.
So they're bored.
Yeah, like they have they have a 2-point conversion play they can never use.
Okay,
so that's why they did it.
Okay, but because it wasn't just that. I mean, they took him off the field. They gave Harold Fannin a tush push, and he immediately fumbled and lost the game like 2 weeks ago. Like I feel like
So wait, hold on, you're dabbling in. You're getting into Shedeur Anon. You're saying you're sabotaging him?
No. But I
didn't know you were Shedeur Anon.
I made a point to like look at Shedeur's reaction to being pulled off the field for the game-winning 2-point conversion.
Game tying.
I'm sorry. That's awfully strange. I'm not saying anything, but I am saying
questions.
I am saying that I've never seen that. I've never seen a team be like.
Well, first of all, teams always go big brain on 2-point conversions. It's actually relatively
not at the end of the game though, and your quarterback's cooking. He's pushing up on 400 yards.
What truly made no sense is you're trying to evaluate him for the future. Like, see what his mettle is, see what he's made of at the biggest moments of the game. And it's the highest leverage play of the entire game, and taking him off the field does make no sense there.
It would be like taking Caleb Williams off the field for that last play against the Packers and having someone else to throw the interception. You don't want that. You want Caleb throwing the interception.
You do want Caleb throwing the back. I had a lot of loose thoughts there, but I guess time to move on from Shedeur. He gets us talking. Say what you will about Shedeur. He gets everyone talking. Denny, card carrying member Shedeur Anon now.
I couldn't help but notice.
It's true. We'll go really quickly on this one. Any Devin Achane concern? We'll talk about this more on Thursday.
No, it looks like Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel said Achane, who suffered a ribs injury against the Jets, was feeling better on Monday. He said on Sunday he could have gone back in, but the game was not close. So why would he do that? I think he will practice later on this week. But obviously, what I would say is keep it locked to Rotoworld for updates.
Keep it locked to Rotoworld. Keep it locked to NBC. We're going to tell you about something you can watch this weekend. It's the best of both worlds. Top players from the PGA and LPGA partner up in a mixed team competition this weekend. Don't miss the Grant Thornton Invitational on NBC and Peacock. I'll tell you what, I could have sworn that they didn't play golf in December. But a lot of golf this year.
There's still warm weather out there somewhere. Not here, but
there is. And I'm casting aspersions to something on our own network. You know, who's not is my dad. Because he'll be watching, he'll text me watching the Grant Thornton. And
also, as I say every time we talk about women's professional golf, men, if you're listening, watch the ladies swing. And I promise you, if you do that, if you take that tempo and not trying to mash it 400 yards, I bet you'll be better.
So I truly don't even have a golf swing. But when I do, it's like essentially like the Happy Gilmore swing.
Yeah.
And when I connect with the ball, I obliterate it. I connect about 1 every 10 times.
Yeah, not a good rate.
No, I like to go to the driving range. I haven't done that in a few. I'd probably separate my shoulder if I did that at this point. But there's no separating shoulder segue, unfortunately, for this one.
There is.
Oh my God, there is. That's right. Baker's playing through a separated non-throwing shoulder.
Yeah,
and we hope that was one of the reasons why he couldn't do anything on Sunday. In the rain again, they play in a dome. You're the rain team. This is Tampa, Florida, right? I was in Tampa for a day last month. It rained then, even, right? It rained. There's pop-up storms. You get used to them.
They weren't ready.
I'm hoping they're going to be ready for the Atlanta Falcons. The game's in Tampa again. The Falcons only 4.5-point favorites. That is the sign of a team going in the wrong direction. Their offense has just been atrocious. There's actually no way to sugarcoat it. The past 2 months, the Bucs have had one of the worst offenses in the league, Denny. We hoped to this last week, though. It didn't happen. That they're getting reinforcements via Mike Evans, maybe even Jalen McMillan. But just how bad has this offense been for Tampa Bay over the past 6, 7, 8 weeks?
So I think Baker Mayfield has been banged up this year. Obviously, he's been missing his main pass catchers. I mean, missing Mike Evans is a big deal. But saying that, he has been terrible. He's bottom 10 in both adjusted yards per attempt and completion rate over expected on intermediate throws, I should say. Really terrible on those 10 to 20 yard throws. That's actually dropped off in recent weeks where he's actually been worse on those throws. As far as efficiency goes, the Bucs are 24th in EPA per play since week 10, 28th in drop back success rate over that stretch. This is by any way you look at it, any way you measure it, this is like a bottom like 6 or 7. I didn't mean to do the meme, but bottom 6.
I actually just did it too, and I realized it. I said the past 6, 7, and I added 8.
Yeah. Do we have to do this now? 6, 7.
Please, God, don't.
I'm sorry. I live with a 12-year-old.
You don't think I have kids?
Do they do the 6, 7?
They have, yes,
okay.
They do. My daughter's 4th grade class, they had 6, 7 day.
Oh, wow.
This is a Catholic school, by the way.
It's it's like a verbal tick for my kids now, where they'll be like, "See you, Dad, 6, 7." I know. Weird, very weird.
Whatever. I'm glad there's still trends. I'll say that. I'm glad.
I know. No. I actually like it. Hey, there's something everybody knows about. That's cool.
And also something that I know about it, but I don't quite understand it.
And I like not understanding it. Yeah,
I know. Me too.
So anyway, Bucs stink, but we do.
All right. Thank you for that. Were you done on that? Because then I'll ask you, how could they be better with the returning Mike Evans, Denny? And is Emeka Egbuka still startable right now? That's how bad things have gotten.
During my Friday live stream on the NFL and NBC YouTube channel, everyone was asking me, can I bench Egbuka? And I said no. And, look, he saw 11 targets. He saw over 100 air yards.
He commands so many targets still.
What do you want? He happens to just never convert anything anymore. But Mike Evans, he would put a major damper on Egbuka, on every other pass catcher in this offense. Evans, for the first 3 weeks of the season, led the Bucs with a 41% air yard share, 27% target share. He was being targeted on 30% of his routes, which is really, really quite high. And when you look at Egbuka, his splits with and without Evans, it's pretty stark. Egbuka was targeted on 21% of his routes with Evans in the lineup, 29% with Evans out of the lineup. He was leading the team in air yards by miles when Evans was out. You are just lopping off a huge part of Egbuka's fantasy profile when Evans returns. Saying that, I do think that you probably should start him here in 12-team leagues. It depends on your roster, depends on your requirements and everything, but he still is a decent play.
Egbuka too, I think it just comes back to, it could be the classic, like it benefits him that the alpha's back, because he was getting a lot of looks, but maybe now he'll get cleaner looks.
Yeah,
Mike
right.
Evans, the guy double teams or whatever on the boundary or in the red zone, or just maybe we're getting a cleaner football from Emeka Egbuka. And because the alpha 11 to 12 target thing's not working for him right now.
I actually do think, like for dynasty purposes, for long-term purposes, I think we saw, at least, I know he's a rookie, but we did see glimpses of him just not being able to be the guy.
I thought you were saying the opposite, that we're still expecting a monster.
Well, I don't want to go full JSN trutherism here, so I'll pull up short of that. But he's been asked to be the wide receiver 1 for a long time now, and for fantasy is not.
Well, he's learning the game though. He's still just learning the game. Yeah, I'm actually pretty. By the way, Mike Evans, we're jamming in the 12-team league lineups, right?
If he plays, you're starting him. Yeah.
Even though I don't know, what if it rains? By the way, when you were talking, I was. In my mind, I daydream a lot. I'm always thinking of scenarios. I was thinking of myself very condescendingly and theatrically explaining to the Bucs what rain was. And then it comes out of the sky, and sometimes it even hits you, and sometimes it even gets you a little wet. Guess what? That's football. You can still beat the New Orleans Saints.
You play through it, and you beat Tyler Shock.
You simply beat Tyler Shock.
By the way, just from a narrative standpoint, do you know how many targets Mike Evans is going to get in front of a home crowd, returning from injury in an island game? I mean, they're going to be jamming this guy the football.
Because don't tell Mike Evans he's not getting to 1,000 yards. He's still got it all. I just need to average 267 yards per game.
They might try to get him there.
I hope they do. I wish them well. I really, really hoped Bucky Irving would return, and he did. He's got a touchdown each of the past 2 weeks, Denny. splitting a lot, or I should say, like, I guess ceding a lot of touches to Rachaad White, even Sean Tucker last weekend. Again, it was a rainy game. They had to ride the run. It didn't really work. What are we seeing through 2 games in the Bucs backfield since Bucky Irving has returned?
Yeah, he has 32 of 54 running back rushing attempts over those 2 games. Like you said, ceding touches to Tucker, to White. That's not bad though. 32, and honestly, I could see him being ramped up a little bit. As far as routes go, he's run 31 routes over 2 games, which is not a lot, but it does lead the backfield. 26 routes for Rachaad White. They've each seen 4 targets. Really, the issue here is that Baker doesn't throw to the running back very often this year, which is a little bit of a change from last year. So Bucky is somewhat game script sensitive. Shouldn't be an issue here against the Falcons team that truly just wants to go on vacation once this thing be over.
I cannot believe they're only 4.5-point dogs, but Tampa is not commanding a respectively. That's why not a whole lot to say about the Falcons. I mean, the passing game we're just ignoring unless Drake London comes back. It doesn't appear he's going to be back.
This has been good.
What now?
Yeah, Kyle Pitts has been really startable.
Oh, yeah.
Startable, yeah.
I thought you said Sills for a second.
He's now
Bijan,
6th, by the way.
So Bijan not having his best games in this offensive environment. Obviously, goes without saying you're still playing him, but how do we view him for the fantasy playoffs?
He's seen an increase in facing 8 defenders in the box with Drake London out, and that makes sense when you think about it for 2 seconds. But, still the centerpiece of the offense, still seeing lots of touches. The Bucs rush defense has been weirdly vulnerable lately, which is rare. The Bucs remain a pretty extreme pass funnel, though, so keep that in mind when you're deciding. I mean, you're going to play Bijan, obviously.
Sounds like I know who you're playing. Danny's playing someone from the Falcons backfield, but he won't say who.
No. This is not the spot for that. No. That's too cute. Algier is too cute for this week. 12-team leagues. But Pitts is in a good spot. I guess you can get away with Mooney.
Really? I don't ever get away with Darnell Mooney. I've never once gotten away with him like the past 2 years.
The Falcons have not gotten away with him.
No, true. He got away with David Sills. He thankfully stopped getting away with it last weekend. So whatever. We're stopping getting away with it. Sorry we talked about the bunny so much. I had to get that off my chest.
It's the most important thing in football, so I don't see why we wouldn't.
It is. And Big Dom is very jealous. Big Dom will find a way to make it about him again, though, soon. I'm very confident in that as the main Eagles subplot side character. So we talk about that a lot. We'll talk about everything on Thursday when we break down the entire Week 15 slate. Denny Carter and myself, Patrick Daugherty, will, of course, be joined by Kyle Dvorchak. Between now and then, we hope you read everything we've got on the site, including Denny's regression files. We really appreciate you listening, and we will talk to you very soon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.